Hi, I'm Kristen Vincent, a fellow United Methodist and author of A Bead and a Prayer, A Beginner's Guide to Protestant Prayer Beads, and Another Bead, Another Prayer, Devotions for Use with Protestant Prayer Beads. Right now I'm going to show you how to make your prayer strand for General Conference 2016. All of the supplies that I'm using today are going to be found in the kits that you will have. First of all, I wanted to show you what the prayer strand looks like that you're going to be making. And there was a lot of thought put into the design for this. We worked very closely with the prayer team for General Conference 2016. That team is planning the prayer space, and they have designed it based on the four elements, earth, air, wind, and fire. And so we wanted that to be represented in your prayer strands. At the same time, we wanted to celebrate Portland, Oregon, and the Northwest area of the United States, who is hosting General Conference. And we did that by showing the very natural types of stones that we used here. There is picture jasper, which has a really nice mix of different natural colors. As well, we are using olive wood directly from the Holy Land for our invitatory bead and our two cruciform beads. You'll notice in your prayer strands that there are different colors with each prayer strand, and these are to represent the four colors that represent the four elements that you'll find in the prayer room. Again, those elements are earth, air, wind, and fire. So we have brown, we have red, we have blue, and we have green. At the bottom, you will also have a medallion. This medallion is official for General Conference 2016 and has been designed specifically for this wonderful event. It has the United Methodist Cross and Flame. It will also have 2016 as well as a mountain sheep to represent this conference. I have one of these that I'll be using to make for this today. The supplies that you'll need are, first, your beading wire. You need about 1 foot of wire. This is a really nice strong wire made of 49 strands, so it will hold up to a lot of use and a lot of prayer. Then you will need your official medallion. You'll need 3 beads. Again, these are olive wood beads from the Holy Land. These are going to be your invitatory bead and 2 cruciform beads. And then you'll have 8 other beads. These are all picture jasper that we're using, and these are going to be your week beads and your resurrection bead. And then we've got 2 different colors of seed beads. We have one neutral color that we'll use throughout the strand, and then we have one of the specific colors to represent the 4 elements to use. Again, either blue, green, brown, or red. For this demonstration, I'm using blue. The last thing that you'll need are 2 crimp beads, and these are so tiny, but these are what hold everything together. One more thing that you'll need is a split ring. This is going to be used at the end of your prayer strand so that you can connect this with your lanyard or with a keychain or your purse, so that you can always have your prayer beads with you. All right, so let's get started. So first of all, we're going to take our length of wire, and we're going to take one of those 2 tiny crimp tubes, and we're going to insert the wire through that crimp tube. Then we're going to take the medallion and run the wire through the hole of the medallion and back around and through that crimp tube. And you want to pull the crimp tube as close to the medallion as you can get it, although you still want to leave some room so that the medallion will move a bit. Once you have it where you want it, you'll want to take your set of pliers and flatten that crimp tube. Make it really nice and tight, because that's what's holding all of that together. Once you have that, then you can begin stringing your beads. First, we'll take a neutral color, one of the neutral colored seed beads, and thread it over the wire. Then you want to take one of your colored accent beads. Again, you may have either red, green, brown, or blue. We're going to take that accent bead and thread it. And then one more of your natural seed beads. Now you want to take your invitatory bead. Again, this is one of the olive wood beads, and you're going to string that onto the wire. And then you're going to do that same pattern we did before. One neutral bead, one colored accent bead, one more neutral bead. And this same pattern is what we're going to do every time we have one of those olive wood beads. It's going to have that pattern on either side of it. So we've done that pattern once more. And now we're going to take our resurrection bead, which is one of the picture jasper beads, and we're going to string that on. And because we're getting ready to add another one of the olive wood beads, we're going to do that same pattern again of neutral and accent bead and neutral. And so now we're putting one of the olive wood beads on again, and this is our first cruciform bead. And because we just did that, we're going to do that pattern again. Neutral, accent bead, and neutral. So this is what it looks like to start off with. Again, we have our medallion and our first crimp bead, and then we have our invitatory bead, our resurrection bead, and our bottom cruciform bead. And all of these have that pattern of neutral and accent bead and neutral again between it. Now we're going to begin with our set of weak beads. When you're doing the weak beads, you don't need to have the accent color between it because again, we're only accenting those olive wood beads. So with your weak beads, now what we'll do is put one weak bead and then one neutral, and then another weak bead, and then a neutral, weak bead, and neutral. And you're just going to continue that same pattern of weak bead and then neutral seed bead until you have used all 7 of your weak beads. And that will give us a complete set of weak beads. And so that now looks like this. And you see how there's just the one neutral seed bead in between to distinguish the set of weak beads from that beginning set that we did earlier. Now we have our last cruciform bead to put on, and because of that we're going to go back to that original pattern of one neutral seed bead, one colored accent bead, and one neutral seed bead. We'll put on that last cruciform bead and finish up with our pattern. And that's what it should look like with all of the beads on. Lastly, what you're going to do is you're going to take that second crimp tube, that tiny crimp tube, and put that on. And then you want to take that split ring. You'll take that, loop the wire around that split ring and back through that crimp tube. And what you want to do is pull for a bit. Now before we pull any more, eventually we're going to pull all that slack out. Before we pull any more, let's go back down to where that medallion is, and you see that little tail of wire sticking out from where we attach the medallion. We want to just tuck that into the beads right there so that nobody can see it. Move everything down, and now you want to go back up to where you had that split ring. You've taken the wire, you've started to tighten it up. You want to run that wire down through some of the beads. Maybe bring it down through a couple of the beads, and then you want to pull. And you want to pull as much as you can until there is no more slack and you have a really nice tight set of beads all together. Once there's no more slack and everything is in place where you want it, and you're sure that that tail is still hidden, then you'll take your set of pliers and go to this top crimp bead and flatten it just like we did above the medallion. Once that's done, you're going to take your wire cutters and snip that piece of wire, and you are done. And you will have your very own prayer strand.